This is Daily Flash with Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Broadcasting worldwide and streaming. Daily Flash. Today's talk, tomorrow's trends.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Jackson.
Hi, I'm Mitch English, and we welcome you to Daily Flash. Today's trends, tomorrow's talk. We're so glad to have you here.
Yeah, and we make you a big part of the
That's big.
show.
You're right, yeah.
The show is not complete unless you are involved, so you can get in on the action. James Alexander, he is our social media guru. James, what's happening, my friend?
You know what? Let's start off with the question of the day. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. What's one rule you add to everyday life?
What's one rule you would add to
It's
everyday
right here in
life?
front of you. You can't.
I know. It's
This is James. This is James. All right, question day.
You didn't see it on camera. You didn't see it on camera.
It's a new set. I
no
get
one
it.
knows.
It's all
No
new.
one knows. So
He's
what's
okay.
rule you would add to the everyday
Okay.
life? Now, if you have a comment on it, I want you to go to our social media
know what mine
channels.
is.
Uh-oh.
go
So all right, we'll get to it.
Okay.
If you have a comment on it, go to our social media channels. And if you want to find out where to watch us on our 219 stations across this great country and the American Forces Network, just go to dailyflashshow.com and click on where to watch. Now, if you want to send a comment to me, you can do it via email at flash@dailyflashshow.com. Let's go.
All right. So
Have some fun.
James handles that. He's
Yep.
our waypoint. He's our clearinghouse. So when you
He's
send
our-
us something, he goes through it and lets us know.
He's our gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper. Like
Oh,
that.
yeah, I
yes.
like that.
What's your rule?
Oh, you know. Listen, everything I need to know about you, it can be taking place in a parking lot.
With your shopping cart. Yes, with your shopping
The
cart.
shopping cart?
A shopping cart. If you do not take your shopping, I
Okay.
know
Yeah.
everything about you. I don't
100%.
need to be around you if you do not take it back. Especially those that will put it, and the corral is only two away. They go, I got kids, my feet hurt or whatever. I don't care. Then have somebody. No, okay.
Yeah,
I'll go
I
off.
know. I know
Stop
you
it,
will.
Jackson.
Oh my gosh.
No, the ones that drive me nuts is same thing. Corrals like just a few parking spots down, and instead they just leave it in the parking space next to them. So
Yeah,
then
I
when
agree
I'm
with
coming down to try and find a parking space, I'm like, oh, there's one open. Nope, there's like a shopping cart right there.
I said I was going to do this. I haven't done it yet, but I want to reach out to the cart Nazi guy.
Yeah.
He's got
Yes,
2 million followers because
Really?
that tells me I'm not alone.
we have to have him on the show.
And
Cart Nazi.
So he goes out there basically. You should check him out on social media. He'll go up there and he'll confront people.
Yeah.
And he throws magnets on their car and they get so
Really?
mad.
It's great.
He
I love
instigates
this.
that part. I'm like, man, you're gonna get your
You're
butt
gonna
kicked
get-
one day.
Yeah.
But it's to a point where and nobody wants to be called out, but you should be called out.
You should be, yeah.
And those things, and then if you leave them out there, people are gonna take them, and then
Yeah.
that brings your grocery prices up. Don't get me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
Do it like Aldi with the 25 cents.
25 cents,
And then
why
you
not?
start thinking that's
Yeah.
probably the way to do it. And I wonder, you know
Yeah.
what? I wonder if we do some research, how many, if you with the quarter,
Right.
if people do take it back. I mean, obviously
Everybody does it.
right? Because
Yes.
there's money involved
Yes.
in it. That's what's going to happen if we don't stop this now.
Right.
You know,
Incentive.
Save the world.
and
Incentive.
I never got quarters on me.
No, who does? And forget pennies.
And pennies, they're gone.
Bye, Penny. We loved you. It was
was
short,
good-
but
good run.
it was a good run. I want to just tell our viewers a brief little story this morning. So James was a little late.
Surprise, surprise.
Comes in, shocker. We love you, James. And he's got a sticker that was laying on the table here to put on his laptop, okay? So he places it on his laptop, and Mitch has a meltdown because he has
Okay.
OCD, and it's crooked.
Okay, that's crooked. And the whole time, so he's sitting down there. I will look at it. I go, that thing's crooked. And y'all know, like with shots or whatever,
Yeah.
if it doesn't look, it
Drives
messes
you
with my
nuts.
mind, and I'll be looking at it. So you got to fix that thing. Fix it now. Here, hand it to
So-
me. I want to
There we
fix
go.
it.
There we go.
I'm
Look,
telling-
pulling
I'm
it-
saying
pulling
it's
it off.
subliminal
There we go.
warfare.
Send over the
Wait,
computer.
Okay.
That's a great. That's a say it again because.
Subliminal warfare.
Think
Hey.
about
Think
this.
about this.
How many of us use subliminal
Yeah.
in a marriage? How often we use subliminal warfare?
Yeah.
It's the little things.
It
It's
is.
the little things.
So
I get it. I get it.
you could call it passive aggressiveness, but I think subliminal warfare is really
Jackson, you were all. I'm going to start doing this because I am called that
warfare.
all the time.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive. No,
no,
no.
it's subliminal
Subliminal
warfare.
warfare.
Okay. All right, let's talk about our talker here. Comedian Dax Shepard has made his daughter a very unusual offer. On a recent episode of his podcast, Armchair Expert, Dax discussed a conversation he had with his 11-year-old daughter, Delta. Take a listen.
Well, if you want to, we'll freeze your eggs when you're 18. You know, like Wow, I
I'll
love
pay. I'll
this.
pay for you to get your eggs frozen, so you don't have to think about that.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Because your issue is just when you started freezing eggs, right? Like, had you
Yeah.
started at 14,
Well,
I'm sorry. Who was that? That's
Dax
Yeah.
Shepard.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been through
Listen,
a lot.
I've had plastic surgery as well. I did not recognize him.
I know he's unrecognizable.
I love the guy. I mean, I think he's a great actor, but does not look anything like he used to.
He's starting to look more and more like Al Pacino, in that Al Pacino now looks like a woman, a female version of himself, and Dax is starting to look a little bit more like a female version of himself.
he's gonna be looking like Kenny Rogers pretty
Yeah,
soon. I'm afraid.
which is not
anyway,
good.
which is besides the point.
Yeah.
They just, I'm sorry, it threw me
That's
off
okay.
because I
No,
go,
no.
where's
I mean,
Dax?
and can we not wear pajamas out in public? I'm sorry, but
It's good.
you
It's
make
a
millions.
podcast. You can do
People
whatever
love
you
doing
want.
it. They do it on planes.
Don't. I mean, he makes millions of dollars and he's dressing like a slob. That's just my opinion. Anyway, back to what he was
Okay.
saying. Dax was discussing
I love you, Dax.
his offer to freeze his daughter's eggs so she could have the option of having children later in life. Now, his daughter's 11. This is the conversation they were having. When they talked about what age she thought she would have children, Dax thought she might say 35, 40. But his daughter said mid-20s sounded right for her. Now, his co-host on the podcast suggested she might be underestimating what her life might be like in her mid-20s, sort of suggesting maybe she won't be ready to have kids. Shepard admitted he was acknowledging all the lucky privilege because obviously this is not an affordable option for most people.
All right. Okay. So this is break this down. So first off, it sounds like there's some things in here about like when should have kids.
Yes.
This is number one. As somebody who was a father when I was 21 years old,
Right.
I would never, ever in my life want my kids to be parents at 21. Now that's how my life worked out. I'm a much better father older. I've had friends that my kids were old enough to babysit when they found up having kids, which worked out great for
Yeah.
them. However. I think when you're ready to have a baby, okay, I get it. Just be prepared for it, right?
Yeah, yes. And I don't think that's your choice to make. I mean, obviously, I think it's an interesting conversation to have, but I feel as though he might be influencing her or encouraging her in this conversation to wait later in life to have kids. And according to the statistics, only about 12% of women who freeze their eggs actually use them.
Right. You know what? She's 11.
Yeah, she's 11.
So go outside and play. Why are we talking about kids at 11 years old? If she's 11 years old, she's a child still.
Yeah.
She's thinking this, this, James, because she goes at 40. I mean, I don't want to be an old man,
Yeah.
old woman, and have
That's
babies.
so old.
40 is not
Ancient.
old.
I get having a conversation at a later stage, but at 11 years old, you're getting down to the birds and the bees. I think it's a little bit too much.
Well,
I know they see a lot online right now,
Yeah.
but I think it's a little bit too much at 11 years old to make such a grown-up decision.
Yeah. Now, you both have
decision.
daughters.
Yes.
So, James, would you have
She's
this
not
con-
even thinking about that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
All right.
We're thinking about volleyball, basketball, whatever
As
she
you
can do.
should.
That's it, and the youngest one is doing swimming. So I don't even entertain that nonsense. I
Yeah.
think he has way too much time in his hands, way too much money to be even thinking about that and talking to a kid like that.
So I was a single father, and I had custody of the kids when my daughter turned became a teenager, right? And I know nothing about anything at all. And I kind of appreciate the fact that he had this conversation with her. 11 years old, but I don't know his daughter. His daughter might be much more mature.
True.
And she might be. And I say that in a preface to the fact that she might be ready and mentally ready to have a baby in her 20s, even though her frontal lobe is not created and developed out altogether. Sometimes I wonder if mine was. But all I can tell you, the advice I have for my kids, and they know this, I go, you know what? I know I'm a better dad older. I go, if I had a choice, I would want you to be a parent older. And it seems like that's what they're doing. My oldest is now 31. And if he he decides to have a kid, I get it. But they made that decision. I don't think you should be. There's this thing, especially in a lot of religions, that think, hey, okay, once you're out of college or whatever, you get married, you have kids, and you keep going. And I think it's okay not to. But in some cultures, that they really pressure that.
Yeah.
And I don't think they should.
So if you can go back in time, what age would you say is the best age?
Late, closer to 30. I think. I think
late 20s, early
late
30s?
20s, late 30s. I love. I would have 10 if I could, because I always wanted to be a dad. I really did. And maybe that obviously it worked out, right?
Worked out okay for you, yes.
We should let's bookmark this, dog note it, ear it, and come back to it because there's a lot.
Yeah,
of
lot
good stuff
to
here.
discuss.
We got more flash coming up right around the corner.
Yep.
First, let's do our brain flash question.
Let's do it. Here it is. What part of the brain controls balance and coordination?
Ooh.
We'll have that answer right after this when we return with more of today's trends, tomorrow's talk. You're watching Daily Flash. Welcome back to Daily Flash. Let's see if you got today's Brain Flash question right. Here is the question. What part of the brain controls balance and coordination? The answer, the cerebellum. So congratulations if you got that right. All right, if you are looking to set yourself up for success on the job in 2026, there are a few steps you can take to make it all happen. Here with the details is Tim Parody from Business Insider. Tim, great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
What's
Great
the
to be
most, yeah, what would you say is the most important step someone should take right now when it comes to looking for work?
Well, I think because it's still early in the year, it makes sense to kind of take stock of where you were last year and where you hope to go this year. So if you had big wins last year, think about how you might reproduce that. And if you have goals for this year that maybe you didn't get to last year, or things like that, or just new things you want to learn, stuff like that, really try to set a few big goals for yourself for the new year.
I've heard of the elevator pitch, but this one is new. What is a brag sheet and how does it help?
Yeah, it's a good question. A brag sheet is what one career expert I spoke to calls it. And essentially, it's say 3 or 4 bullets of things that you accomplished last year that you could point to, whether it's in that elevator pitch or it's, maybe as you start to frame up a job, performance review, or just thinking, these are the big wins that I had. And as much as you think you won't forget them because they were so impactful and monumental at the time, it's easy to do. So the folks I talked to said, document just a couple of these things. It doesn't have to be extensive or exhaustive, but just really write down those key things that you think were huge accomplishments last year.
And I'm sure this plays into the next question. Why is it so important to ask for feedback at the end of the year?
So yeah, feedback is, of course, how we grow and how we learn what we do well and what we need to work on. One thing that I thought was interesting from some of the folks I spoke to was that you don't just have to ask for feedback from your boss. Often that comes up in a performance review situation anyway, but you can even ask respected coworkers, say, hey, I really like working with you. I respect your opinion. I think you do this really well. Is there anything you think I could grow, an area where I could grow or something I could do better or something that I should keep doing? So it's helpful to do it almost in a 360 sense of the people you work with, not just the boss.
Yeah, and anytime I think you ask people for help in that kind of context, that gives them like a greater role in your success. How can you clean up your calendar and why is that important?
Well, as I'm sure you know, the calendar is one of those time sucks for a lot of us, and it's easy to let it out of hand. And so the start of the year, end of the year, what have you, is a great time to take a look at it and figure out, do I need to be in this meeting? Could this meeting be done some other way? Could I respectfully ask that I be included maybe only as absolutely necessary? It's just a way to carve out more time for yourself because it's very easy to have meetings build up during the year and then you realize you just don't have enough time to actually get your work done or to concentrate and sort of take a step back.
Yeah, it can be a bit overwhelming, especially with so much going on at the very beginning of the year. And Tim, what would you say we should prioritize first? I mean, it's easy to get bogged down in the personal, but when it comes to the professional and looking for a new job, what should be our number one priority?
I'd go back to that brag sheet. It's really just documentation. Ultimately, it's just recording what you've done and having a few of those things down on paper or in a file somewhere can be really helpful, especially because as time moves on, you can forget them or you can just let it fall off the priority list. So just getting that done because it's kind of backward looking makes a lot of sense. And then maybe turn your attention to something like, okay, how can I cut through my calendar a little bit to create some more free time at work?
Yeah, and I think that's the important part where that calendar comes in. I like to be able to write stuff down, and that helps me remember certain things throughout the year and accomplishments, and it just makes it a lot easier. But, lots of folks like their iPhone, and it's easy to do that way. Tim, great to chat with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're going to share this interview on our website, dailyflashshow.com/FMI. If you are looking for a job and you need some advice, this is the interview you want to save and take a look at.
All right, everybody, it's the time of the show. Thank you there, Jackson, where we all stop, we ponder, and just say, Mitch, please. All right, listen, everybody does it, and maybe that's probably part of the problem, okay? We're talking about the number of times a day the average person uses toilet paper. What do you think it is? Believe it or not, it's 3. And now apparently every one of those trips comes with a carbon footprint. There's some environmental researchers now that say toilet paper production quietly adds up, from cutting trees to processing pulp to shipping bulky rolls around the country. Even recycled toilet paper is not carbon free thanks to energy intensive cleaning and manufacturing. We're not talking about what you do afterwards. We're talking about before. All right. Anyway, the suggestion now, it says, hey, use less paper, choosing brands with lower emissions, switching to alternatives like bidets, which, yes, is how we officially reached the point where climate change followed us into the bathroom. Because in 2026, nothing is sacred, not even your Charmin moment. So we're just waiting for that warning label that says, please wipe responsibly. Take care of the toilet paper. I'm one of those, and this is something we don't have to spend a lot of time on. I get it.
We got a minute and a half, so.
I'm one of these.
Oh, you are? Oh, so you wrap it around. Okay, got it.
Then I'm all like, what? I don't know how the 1 or 2 squares people can live. You got to have it's got to be 3, 4, 5, 10 ply in order to make that happen.
And it's got to be clean. It's got to be clean.
Yeah.
You know, I love the idea of only using a bidet, but it's not realistic because it doesn't matter. You have to have the toilet paper. I'm sorry.
You got to dry off, right?
You have to
afterwards.
dry off.
I had a friend who just literally came back from Japan, not even about a half a month ago, and they said when you go there, everybody has a bidet. It's just like in Japan, it's part of it. And they also, if you go to public bathrooms, sometimes in some places it's just a hole. Right? And for ladies and men.
Yes.
So, you know, we here in America, I think it's one of those little things that we value very much, but we don't think too much about unless there's a hurricane, unless there's an evacuation. Why is it toilet paper is the first thing we go on?
I don't know, and I don't know why toilet paper was such a big deal during COVID. I never could understand that. It almost seemed like it was like the toilet paper lobby that was like, okay, let's make it like we're gonna run out of toilet paper.
You wonder about that, especially since we're talking about how toilet paper is one of those things that actually has a huge footprint to it. But we still have it.
Here's my slogan: "Life's too short." By the Charmin.
Well, I like that.
February is Heart Health Month, and heart disease is still the leading cause of death in the U.S. Here's the warning signs to protect your heart.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the U.S., yet many of those affected have no idea until it's too late. The good news, experts say there are things you can do to safeguard your heart. They note a good place to start is knowing your risk factors, both ones you're born with and the ones connected to daily lifestyle habits. Fortunately, there's an easy way to evaluate your risk. Bayer, the creator of aspirin more than 150 years ago and a leader in science and heart health, offers a quick 2-minute heart health assessment at seeyourrisks.com. This online tool helps you take the first step in understanding your heart condition and recognize early warning signs. Using it will help you learn about general risk factors, get a sense of how your heart age compares to your actual age, and you'll receive general lifestyle guidance to discuss with a doctor, such as diet, exercise, and managing stress. It can also help you recognize common signs that may be associated with changes in heart health, including chest discomfort, pressure or palpitations, or feeling unusually tired or out of breath. Monitoring and tracking things like heart rate and blood pressure at home and taking notes you can review during medical appointments can also support more meaningful conversations with your healthcare provider. Visit seeyourrisks.com to learn more.
Check this out, you guys. A grocery receipt from 1997 is lighting up social media.
Okay.
Take a look at this.
Honey used to be, like a thing of honey, used to be $2.49. It is now $9.95. Little Debbie's brownies, we all know what those are. Those were $1.09. They are now $5.75. Coffee used to be $2.47. It is now, for like a bag of ground coffee, it is $9.43. How are we supposed to survive?
So this clip has more than 100,000 views and counting. Her mother-in-law saved the receipt from an H-E-B in Texas that featured 122 items with a grand total of $155. Now, she asked people for comments to compare prices in 1997 to today's prices. Cantaloupes on her receipt for 77 cents each in 1997, or nearly $3 each today. Pampers 78-count box bought in 1997 for $12.99, now $32. Lysol then $2.17, now more than $6. The receipt would now set you back $504 for the same list of items.
All right, so I'm trying to think 97 where I was. I remember, once I had my 4 kids and stuff, I remember going to the grocery store one time. It had to have been early 2000s, whatever. And I remember spending amount of money, and the lady's like, wow, this is more than my mortgage payment. And like, and I didn't realize, but you have 4 kids,
sure.
there's 7 people, or 5 people in the house. Or
6.
6 people, thank you.
It's okay.
I was never there. How about
Family math.
and then 2 dogs as well. So, the bills would really get up there. You know when I really notice it is watching old movies and see gas prices.
Yes.
You can gauge how when the movie was made based off that, and it's interesting too. And here's the thing: speaking of gas prices, we get these prices. Somebody raises them up or whatever, and we get comfortable with them, and we forget that things were 77 cents for cantaloupes that long ago.
But we should mention 1997. It's 2025. We're 30 years later. Of course, prices are going to go up. And that's just part of an economy and a growing economy. And because prices were got up so high between 20 and 24, fuel is part of that process. So now that fuel prices are coming down, grocery prices should start to come down.
All right, moving forward, the headline reads, he robbed the cradle and she broke the internet. A 22-year-old Italian influencer has gone viral for a series of posts about a 4-decade age gap that she has with her 60-year-old husband, 60. She met her older half, Massimo, 5 years ago when he was her high school philosophy teacher, and she somehow got an A in the class, I'm guessing. She also said she had a crush on him. Nothing happened. 4 years later, they met at a bookstore as adults, and that's when they started dating. A video she posted has more than 4 million views. She compared photos of them from 2010. He was 45. She was 5. He was 45. She was 5. Let you know about that. Those that actually come to her defense says love doesn't know an age. I completely agree with that wholeheartly. I think though love just doesn't have great conversations. I guess if you found love and you feel great, maybe you want somebody with that. I wholeheartily, but I gotta tell you, dating is not fun that way.
Well, because you had that experience. You were dating girls that were much younger via dating apps, and that's just, you're getting out there, you're getting back in the swing of things, and you're having conversations with people who have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
100%. Yeah. And I always give this disclaimer too. I've also dated 17 years older, and I will take 17 years older so I can understand.
Really?
It's just so much mature and just
different.
And probably there's an age in your life once you hit that point, you're probably
you can't go back.
Right. Now, maybe that's probably right. I don't know.
This is Daily Flash with Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Broadcasting worldwide and streaming. Daily Flash. Today's talk, tomorrow's trends.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mitch English.
I'm Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash. Today's trends, tomorrow's talk. Before we do anything, let's check in with our stations across the nation. James Alexander.
All right. Now, we air on more than 219 stations
we love
across this big country of ours, the American Forces Network, and across social media channels that you can tap into. But guess what? Our local friends today come from Indianapolis and Miami.
Why'd you pick them?
Let's give us big time game happening tonight between the University of Miami and the University of Indiana. And if Indiana wins, oh my God, this world is going to crash.
I got to tell you, it's a big deal for Indy.
Oh,
it is.
Big deal. They went from the bottom of the Big Ten to the top.
When I was traveling, I saw a lot of Indy fans out there.
Yeah. Why did they show up too for that last game?
They've been
My
kicking
goodness.
They've been kicking
Fernando
butts,
Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner. He's the quarterback for Indiana. University of Miami, though, with Carson Beck as the QB. They look good, too. It should be a good matchup.
Yeah,
James,
they're playing at home.
She's taking your sports job.
Mendoza comes from Indiana.
He's pretty good at this.
Miami.
Miami, that's
Yep.
right. He's
Comes
from Miami.
Miami.
Yeah.
All righty. We've heard this growing up all the time about birth order, about
Yeah.
like how kids in birth order. I'm one of 5, right? And I'm pretty much in the middle. And to me, I say I'm a classic middle child, like always trying to get attention. My voice was never heard, so I felt like I always say it. Well, psychologists are all studied tens of thousands of people, and they say that this is just bunk. It's not real at all. It says that you are the way you are from family environment and your upbringing, and that the order that you were born in has really nothing to do with it. And that's the part where I don't buy into it.
Interesting.
The long belief, like firstborns are smarter. Okay, have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
It falls apart when the researcher kind of looked into different variables. They think that our brains just love simple stories. Like we all want to be categorized. I know I do. I was like, well, I'm this. I'm an ADD. I got ADHD.
But that's human
I'm a middle
nature, though.
child.
We need to categorize and put things in boxes so it's easy for us to understand systems.
Yep, you're 100%, and that's what they're saying. They're
Yeah.
saying we've developed this.
Right.
Nature did
Yeah.
not. And it also says, of course, your personality comes from your genes, from your experiences and people. Where are you at? You have an older sister, right?
One older sister, so I'm the baby of the family, but she's 7 years older than I am, so there's a real generational
Can
gap
I ask
too.
you this?
Yeah.
Because I was talking about this on my radio show. Okay, whenever the first and second child, if they're the same sex, like I have my first 2 were boys, complete opposites.
Yep.
Would you say that
Complete
about
opposites,
your sister? Okay.
yep.
Isn't that weird?
Yep.
Same thing with my wife. She has one sister
Yep.
like you as well. Completely opposite. James, where are you?
Nah, man. Technically, I'm the only child. I'm proud to be the only child.
Ooh, an only child.
I am not
its own
spoiled, though.
psychology.
I'm not spoiled.
Oh, no.
I'm not spoiled. Don't mention
Sweet baby James' mom brings him food.
Breakfast
I don't know what you're talking
every
about,
day.
Mitch. I do not.
She
know
loves
what
you,
you're
though.
talking
Yeah,
about. Yes,
I love
she
it.
does.
There is a lot of benefit being an only child.
Yeah.
Having, Enzo, now I see that, he's obviously just me being older, but he's being treated different
Right.
because he's an only
Well,
child.
he has-
He gets all the toys and
Right.
everything.
But
Yeah.
I never grew up by myself, so.
That's
You,
That's
you
why I
had a
say
big family.
technically. All right.
Dax Shepard making headlines recently for talking to his 11-year-old daughter about freezing her eggs, and they were
Right. So
having
talking
this
about babies and
discussion,
stuff,
having
sure, yeah.
babies and birth order and whatnot. And I guess she's a very motherly type of child, so he thought, well, I'll have this conversation with her. We have the money and the means. If she wants to freeze her eggs in order to have children later in life, we'll do that for her. Now, she said she wants to have kids in her mid-20s. He was thinking she'd say 35, 40, and is this a generational conversation? Because my parents would never talk to me about that kind of stuff ever in a million years.
Not at all. The birds and bees
Yeah.
talk was bad enough.
I got it from my uncle, the birds and bees. So.
So yeah,
Did Mama have him talk to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
like
but
that Geico commercial.
I think that goes. We were talking about generational,
Yeah.
but there's also, wealth. Not every family is not having this conversation, and this is a privilege, right?
Yes.
And he even said that.
Yeah.
But I got to say, no matter wherever you're at with that, I think it's refreshing that he's actually having that conversation. And hopefully, which I feel he does, that he knows his daughter enough that it should be.
Yeah.
That conversation should happen in the first place.
Yes.
So give it to that. Even though he looks nothing like who he used to look anymore. Google him. I love you, Dax. What
we
happened
love
to
Dax. We love Dax and Kristen Bell as well.
you? You know who else we love?
You.
You.
The
Stick
viewer.
around. We're going to give you more Flash right after this. Don't you go anywhere. Hey, welcome back to your Daily Flash. Right now, it's time for us to look at the lifestyles of the rich and famous, of course. We love looking into some celebrity real estate.
We do. Let's get things started with Ricky Martin, who has sold his Upper East Side home for $6 million. The 4-bedroom, 4.5-bath home had been on and off the market since 2017. The home features a large open living and dining area with 10-foot high floor-to-ceiling windows, hardwood floors. The 3,100 square foot residence includes 2 main bedroom suites with oversized walk-in closets and spa-like bathrooms. That looks beautiful with the parquet floor there. A 5th room can function as an extra bedroom or a study, a library, a nursery, or even a media room.
You got that bad
Parquet,
joke?
yeah.
Okay, you said parquet.
Yeah,
Better.
parquet.
It's better. Good for him. $6 million. That's what gets you. Now
Yeah.
we move on to Bethany Frankel, who recently shut down her haters for the millions she has made off of flipping houses. Frankel's new home in Florida recently featured an architectural digest with the outlet describing her home as a streamlined contemporary take on a classic Floridian design. Some of her choices for the home include a marble wastebasket that costs about $1,000.
Okay.
Why?
Sure.
Frankel said that she's made about $12 million in real estate profits in the recent years. 55-year-old reality star admits that there were no Home Goods or Wayfair pieces in her house, but defended them as multi-billion-dollar brands in there as well. Why would there be when you got a $1,000 wastebasket? Why would you need
You don't want to cheapen your $1,000 wastebasket with something from Wayfair. My goodness. Okay, well, if you can afford it, I guess that's okay.
There you go.
A charming Los Angeles home once owned by Joe Jonas, back on the market for close to $4 million. Built in 1923, Jonas bought the ivy-covered home about a decade ago for $2.5 million. The gated residence features a pool and a private backyard. At 3,800 square feet, it comes with 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, 2 full-size bathrooms. Double doors lead to main floor den that can also function as a library or even a media room. There's a formal dining room with built-ins and a butler's pantry. Upstairs, a main bedroom suite features vaulted ceilings, walk-in closets, a spa-like bath, and stunning views. Outside, there is a semi-covered terrace, built-in barbecue, cabana, fire pit. There's also 1-bedroom guest house with vaulted ceilings and a separate address. You could be Joe Jonas's, or could have been Joe Jonas's tenant.
There you go. Do you think, obviously I think we know the answer here, but just the fact that once you're a celebrity, wherever you live, the value goes up.
I think
because
so.
you can say, well, I live where Joe Jonas lives. Or a fan would want to buy it, right?
Yes, I think there is built-in credibility and value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. Well, what about a whole building that maybe a bunch of famous people kind of didn't live in, but they kind of lived in? We're talking about the former owner of the Friends building, the TV show in the West Village, just earned a 79% profit on his investment. He sold it for $32.7 million. The legendary sitcom, of course, used this site basically just as an exterior apartment building for the popular sitcom. The new owner, Japanese investment company, Sutton, who paid $18 million for the building in 2024, renovated most of its 21 apartments. Despite the fact that Friends was actually shot in Los Angeles, the building is still a big draw for fans. In kind of related news, the Brady Bunch house, they're trying to get historic measures taken to where it's like a historic landmark.
Landmark, yeah.
And that, again, they, of course, as we know, was just the outside of it.
Right.
People still drive by to take a shot of that. I think most people realize when they buy a house, that's what the deal is.
Yeah.
The only people, well, I'm sure there's others, but the house that Walter White lived in on Breaking Bad.
In Albuquerque.
In Albuquerque, New Mexico. The lady who owns it there, it does not want any kind of attention. She's built fences up, put pylons around so people wouldn't even get... She yells at people on the sidewalk, which is not fair.
Well, because people kept throwing pizzas on her roof, too, as part of an homage to the show, and I could understand. Come on, really?
But you know, when you give up your home, for people to stop and take pictures is one thing. Throwing pizzas is a completely different thing, and they shouldn't do that.
Same with Sex and the City. Sarah Jessica Parker's, the front of the apartment, that building there has a chain across it that says, please do not sit on the steps, because they've had so many people stop to take pictures. Yeah.
All right, stick around. We're talking about staying healthy coming up a little bit later, and the food pyramid. Is it still a thing?
The new one.
This is Tim. Tim is all about time, and if you've ever had a chance to look into Tim's cold, dead eyes, you'll see that it's time for you to follow us on social media. Sure, there's 10,000 social sites out there, and we don't have the time to name them all. Seriously, just ask Tim. So take the time to look for Daily Flash TV on your favorite social sites and start following us. That's all the time, Tim. Goodbye.
Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash, a new documentary spotlighting the breakthrough Lunar Voyage 1 missions now streaming. Joining us now with more to Drive Me to the Moon is Fabiana Neves. She's the Vice President of Castrol Americas. Tell us first, share the details on Drive Me to the Moon documentary, and what can viewers expect to see in this?
Oh, wow. Viewers can definitely expect a behind-the-scenes documentary that really showcase what it takes to be in the South Pole of Lunar. And starting with the technology behind, the people behind, the collaboration behind, everything that it takes on a mission to be in the moon.
This is fascinating. And it's so great that we are now headed back to the moon. But how does this latest lunar voyage actually affect future space exploration?
Great question. It definitely supports the mission of looking into a sustainable way of human presence in the moon. So we are really keen to making sure that we get to this goal. So it definitely, this mission helps is a step towards that goal of making sure there is sustainable way for human presence in the moon.
You know, a sustainable, big, important thing there. So I appreciate you saying that. Share previous, can you actually share some previous contributions that Castro has actually made to this space industry?
Yeah, of course. Castro has been partnering with the space industry for over 7 decades, starting with the Apollo missions and NASA, supporting all the Mars rovers, Opportunity, Curiosity, Perseverance, and now partnering with Lunar Outpost on the Lunar Voyage mission. So our technology, our lubricants have provided everything that is needed in terms of lubrication and supporting these machines to perform their well. So in these missions, there's no room for failure. So Castro has been supporting all of them over 7 decades to be successful missions.
And Fabiana, the most important question, where can our viewers actually see Drive Me to the Moon?
Oh, it's live already, so you can go to YouTube or simply visit our website, castro.com/Drive Me to the Moon.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is really fascinating stuff. And we're going to have this link as well as the interview on our website at dailyflashshow.com/FMI. Credit unions help consumers access credit, manage everyday expenses, and maximize financial benefits. Scott Simpson of America's Credit Unions has more.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. America's credit unions, all of them, are member-owned, not-for-profit cooperatives. Different from a for-profit bank, the stockholder, the shareholder of that institution, is the same people that are the customers of the institution. And so we call them members and credit union members. That reality drives a culture that actually ends up benefiting from a pricing perspective. Most people who are members of credit unions understand this natively now, but it's lower fees on the products and services they get from their institution. It's higher rates on deposits, and it's lower interest rates. Go to americascreditunions.org. We can help you weigh in on legislation there, or we can help you find directions to your nearest credit union so you can join and be a part of this.
Well, February marks the start of tax season. Personal finance expert Carlos Garcia is joining us now with smart ways to get your finances ready. Carlos, first off, why should families start getting tax documents together right now? And how can actually families make this a frugal February? What steps do they need to take?
This is the perfect time to start. You should start gathering your W-2, your 1099s, donation receipts, and your brokerage statements. Put them all in a digital folder and have them ready for your tax accountant by March 15. So you have time, but you need to start now.
What are some of the steps that they need to do to actually get to that point?
Well, there are 4 things you can do this month. Number 1, pay your high interest debt. That means your credit card. Prioritize that. Second, automate your bills. Don't spend money doing this manually. Automate and save money like that. And then third, look at your investments and long-term retirement savings. This is your future asset. And then finally, many times you can bundle up services and save money. So look at different things. For example, your wireless service might offer a bundle with streaming and satellite connectivity. You can save money like that.
This is really interesting stuff. How is really T-Mobile's Better Value plan uniquely positioned to help families out?
The Better Value plan is really interesting because it helps families save over $1,000 by bundling their wireless plan with streaming services and satellite connectivity. This plan starts at $140 a month with 3 lines, but what's even better is that you can lock in that rate for the next 5 years.
That takes care of the next 5 years, which takes a lot of headaches out of the equation for sure. Where can folks go if they need more information?
You can go to tmobile.com to learn more.
Carlos, thank you so much. We're going to post this interview as well as links on our website at dailyflashshow.com/FMI. And now there's a new way to assist surgeons struggling from burnout. Here's more.
A new survey called Behind the Mask finds a significant number of surgeons are suffering from burnout.
We surveyed more than 1,500 surgeons. 40% say burnout has caused them to consider leaving the field. Burnout isn't always obvious until it reaches a breaking point. And so part of solving burnout is simply acknowledging it. The more we talk about it, the more space we create for new support solutions.
Visit the next.jnjmedtech.com/behind-the-mask.
Thanks so much. More information can be found on our website, dailyflashshow.com/FMI.
Hey, Mitchie.
Hey, Jackson.
Yeah, I want to talk about that big story coming out of Hollywood.
Whoa, hold on. Wait. I want to get Matt in on this call, all right? Hold on.
Hey, what's up, Mitch and Dias?
Matty!
Mitchie.
Mateus.
Mitch, my man.
So, Matty of Berkshire.
What's going on?
Hey, AJ wants us to talk about a big story that's happening.
This kid, the Kiki, says hi. He has his own Instagram.
That's great, Matt, but I really want to talk about this big story coming out of Hollywood.
Ooh, dog and cat, it's
Hey, you should check it out. This kid, the Kiki.
I want to know what's going on.
What?
Oh, okay, so real quick. Why does he still have a dial-up modem?
Hey, I gotta get back to wrestling stuff.
It's on the music.
You know what? Maybe we should just try this later.
Okay, all right. Peace and love.
Daily Flash.
Where are you?
It's just better when you're part of the conversation. Join us online. This is Tim. Tim is all about time. And if you've ever had a chance to look into Tim's cold, dead eyes, you'll see that it's time for you to follow us on social media. Sure, there's 10,000 social sites out there, and we don't have the time to name them all. Seriously, just ask Tim. So take the time to look for Daily Flash TV on your favorite social sites and start following us. That's all the time, Tim. Goodbye.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Daily Flash. Don't just sit there. Come hang out with us online. We're all over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them. Search for Daily Flash Show. Jump in on the fun. And, of course, you can always sound off. Very simple. flash@dailyflashshow.com. That is our email address.
We have been focused on a story involving a May to December romance. He's 40 years older than she is. She put out a post on Instagram and showed a picture of him when he was 45 and she was 5, and people lit her up. But, you know, the age difference is nothing unusual, but there's some good stats about it.
There are some good stats about this, and I had to look it up.
Okay.
Listening. 40% of marriages have a husband who is...
So far, 40? Is that what you said? 40%?
Yeah, 40% of marriages have a husband who is 3 or more years older than his wife. Oh. All right, 20% of remarried men, are married a woman at least 10 years younger, and another 18% had a wife 6 to 9 years younger.
Interesting.
Now, only 1% of couples have husbands 20 years older than their wives.
So, you know, as you get older, I think... I can't speak for women. Maybe you might tell me if I'm wrong. How about that? Is that like as you get older, as a woman, you know, we're all men and women. We're looking for security, obviously, for the rest of your life. Who do you want to be with? And it seems like if you marry somebody, you know, by the time you get older, you're making cash. You're pretty much you're not going to go out and you're pretty. You know how you are with money, I guess.
Yes.
That does, I'm sure, bring security to women. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm making this is.
No, you're
right. It's a financial transaction
there is
now.
A financial, it is a business deal in some accounts when it comes to younger women marrying older men. Now, I'm sure that there's something there. I mean, this woman who's 40 years younger than the husband she married said she had a crush on him because he was a high school teacher. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think there's some security. Even an older figure, an older man in a relationship provides some kind of security.
Can you be loved? Where's
love?
There's no more
love.
Just want to be loved.
Well, if you have a cheerleader like Belichick, then she can cheer you up all the time.
Boy, I'm afraid he's going to die of a heart attack. That's just me.
Thank y'all for joining us. Take care. We'll see you when we look at you. Bye-bye.